Hi, my name is Kwaku, and you listen to a selection from the British Black Music Month Make Music Day UK 2022 edition of a 12-hour show looking at music from Samuel Coleridge-Taylor, who died in 1912. Listen to a composition from his big 1898 hit High Waters Wedding Fist, and later on you hear a composition River Dip from the 24 Negro Melodies. You're listening to a track called The Rake from the 1959 album Star Bright by Dizzy Reece, who landed on the Empire Windrush as a teenager called Ambrose Reece. He went on to be a channeler in the jazz scene in New York. Of the Trinidadian calypsonians that came on the Empire Windrush in 1948, this is Mona Baptiste with Calypso Blues. She went on to become a big star on stage and in films, particularly in Europe.
Sitting by the ocean, my heart she feels so sad. Sitting by the ocean, my heart she feels so sad. Don't got the money to take me back to Trinidad.
Of the three Trinidadian calypsonians who came on the Empire Windrush, only Lord Woodbine didn't make a record, but he went on to be a mentor of the Beatles in Liverpool. This is Lord Beginner with Victory Test Match, talking about the 1950 West Indies win over the English cricket team.
He tried his best, Goddard won the test. They gave the crowd plenty fun. The second test on West Indies won. With those little pals of mine, Mandy and Valentine.
The 1950 cricket euphoria continues. This is Lord Kitchener of Cricket Champions, and is said to have led a procession from the Lord's Cricket Ground all the way to Piccadilly, with people joining the procession.
Well, it was war with two countries, England versus the West Indies. What a miracle, with the champions doing the impossible. England must understand, we are the champions. So Bascante and hit them, Bodo, 2-4. England must understand, we are the champions. Beaufort follow one, hit them, pout down, 2 more.
There's a tendency to overstate the African-Caribbean migration to Britain at the expense of continental Africans. Here, for example, is Nigerian-born Ambrose Campbell, who fought for the British during the Second World War and settled in Britain in the 1940s. He formed several bands, including the West African Rhythm Brothers, and he was part of the procession on VE Day 1945 that went to Trafalgar Square. You listen to his track called Yolanda. By the time the Empire Windrush docked in Tilbury from the Caribbean, Trinidadian-born Winifred Atwell was already a rising star in Britain. She would go on in the 1950s and 60s to have many hits, including what you listen to Let's Have Another Party. She had 2 number 1s, 1 number 2, 1 number 3, 1 number 4, 2 number 5s, and so many hits across the UK. Joe Hayroth was one of the many African Caribbean musicians that could be found in the British jazz scene during the late 1940s into the 1950s. What you listen to is Still Goofing from his 1960 album Southern Horizons. He is seen as one of the jazz innovators. I came across BBM mail-outs that had been sent in 2012. That's 10 years ago, so I thought I'll re-listen to some of this music, see how they sound, and where are some of the musicians. So you're listening to Lorna Stewart with Soulmate. This is a chill version, then you hear the reggae remix. And there are a few more of these artists who had new projects around 2012, which is 10 years ago.
Somebody pinch me, I must be awake now. I can't believe that you are mine, 'cause baby you are mine, soulmate of mine. Let's think in the morning, let's think at nighttime. It's only you, baby, on my mind. Somebody pinch me, I must be awake now. I can't believe that you are mine, 'cause baby you are mine, soulmate of mine.
I remember when I first came across this reggae version of Adele's Rolling in Deep, produced by Superdread and sung by Vichel. I hope that's how she pronounces her name. I couldn't have enough of it. 10 years on, I can play it repeatedly. It's one of the most powerful versions of this song.
Go ahead and sell me out, and I'll lay your thing bare. See how I leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, and it's bringing me out the dark. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all. Rolling in the deep. Yeah, while we're moving along our lifetimes, from the good to the bad, our right minds, people holding us back, we hold tight.
Another record I couldn't get enough of was the Estelle featured remix of Break Free by the band 57 Dynasty. This was speaking against gun and knife crime amongst our youth. We bought so many copies for our youth projects.
Ripped apart like apartheid, with marred and scarred, bars killing spars, nightly getting charged, heads hard, bedazzled, betrayed, brutally beaten and slayed, divorced from the light, now to the dark you're engaged, you block the sun's rays with black shades, it's the same, decade after decade, we're dropping grades and picking up blades, the minds in the days, blown by the blaze, we've been blind by the haze, trying to make it through life unscathed, untarnished, ungrazed, unconfused, unamazed, as the flame burns. I'm concerned that what we earn under the stars, why placed here? I wish to learn why we're ignorant and selfish. Come like we're helpless, dwelling under the surface, searching for a purpose. Is it really worth this life we're living? Then if so, I must remain composed.
While we're moving along in our lifetime, when the good to the bad in our right mind, he was holding us back, but we hold tight, breaking free from the hate and the pain and the vibe. People dying for nothing, it's time. But believe in yourself in the right time. Don't let nobody tell you ain't right. Hold your head to the sky.
Shia or Shia Soul found her management after attending the British Black Music Month event, but sadly her album seems to have only existed as an album sampler. But in the background, you can hear her singing, "Where Did You Go?"
Say you should be there for us. Ain't it fair to say that you've messed up? 'Cause you got your head held so high. I'm not sure you really recognize what you've done to those you left behind. Left behind, left behind. Where did you go? Where did you go? You and your soul. Where did you go?
Gospel is an important part of black music, so we're glad to represent you, Stacey Kids. God is real.
I saw a sign on the bus today. It said that God is not real. I cried inside 'cause I know that He is so real. He created my mommy, my daddy, and my sisters. I love them so. God is love. I know that God is real.
There's a card for Chima Anya's The Doctor's Note, and he's a real-life doctor.
In my late 20s, acting 15. Dad left Nigeria at the age of 16. I'm still confused by what that means. Still a little child pondering on big dreams. All my mates is engaged or pregnant. I'd be like, hey, could you wait a second? Promise me that we're gonna stay as best friends. Don't disappear on the day of the wedding. Never to return, never be the same. All day chilling, playing video games. Out getting drunk, looking at the ladies. Now they think fun is looking after babies. I'm looking at you crazy. Brother, is you crazy? Maybe I need to grow. Maybe I'm just lazy.
Music-based lawyer Essa with his George Floyd-inspired Justice.
I write for a living and I'm lost for words. Lost my faith, haven't quite lost my nerve, but I might lose my mind at what's occurred. There's barely any black men who haven't been stopped and searched through suspicion they do not deserve. Many get mocked and cursed, cuffed and bound, tossed to curves, roughed around, often worse. We send spaceships up off the earth, but can't send down crooked cops to serve and protect black lives. Tell me what they're worth. I said serve and protect. Did you clock the words? 'Cause it feels like they've not been heard. Yeah, they serve and protect, but who and what? Observe another black life lost. 4 officers, only one charged at first. Is that not perverse? Halfway across the earth, here in Britain it's same shit, different toilet with a lid on it. You're mad for thinking it's an isolated tragic incident. A few bad apples splitting in. Due diligence proves that's just ignorant. When you check the stats on black imprisonment, deaths in custody with a lack of convictions, you'll soon see that a pattern is visible. I remember when I first studied law, saw the Stephen Lawrence case and how his murderers walked. Institutional racism, I hadn't heard it before. That's what the Macpherson report observed in the force. Years later, have we learned from it all? Progress feels slow, like we're learning to crawl. Smiley culture, Mark Duggan, and so many more. Deceased, those that didn't still walking free. So many been through so much more than me, and I felt fear every time I saw police. So many black men apprehended forcibly. No wonder why when an officer walks the street it's called a beat. I know it's not all police, but it's enough to know that if you call police there's a chance it won't go well at all for me. Amy Cooper knew that, she was as sure as can be.
JJ Born to Sing, I Can't Breathe.
Do
what you say. This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all.
Couldn't you hear my heart beating? Couldn't you hear my soul screaming? Didn't you hear the people tell you to stop? Couldn't you hear them? Couldn't you see my nose was bleeding? But your knee on my neck, you kept on squeezing. Didn't you hear when I was pleading? Couldn't you see that I was moving? But you had something that you were proving. Didn't you hear the people tell you to stop?
In 2020, we organized a music industry conference to see what the music industry was doing post George Floyd. This is our I Can't Breathe playlist from Swiss, Black Slate, and Leah.
My fate and I'm gasping, hate and discriminate cause I'm labeled a dark skin. If you ain't pale in the face, then you basically are seen as incriminated. The pavement's the place I was last seen. Cut the oxygen off to my brain, chant slim. I can't breathe, can you hear me? I can't breathe. I need some air and I'm starting to wheeze. I'm in fear and your arm squeezing me. Calm down, please. The little life that I have left in your palm region. I'm speaking, I can't reach it.
Whoa, yeah. I can hear my brother crying. He's crying out, I can't breathe. I'm in a struggle and I can't leave. Crying out for help, I can't breathe. I'm in a struggle and I can't leave. I'm crying out for help, I can't breathe.
And what is it that we have done to you? Is that the kind of role that you and him want to pursue? And why'd you see us differently when we're the same as you? The color of our skin is the main reason that you shoot, yeah. I'm tired of all the pain and all the wrecking. What do we have to do so you can understand this message? What do we have to prove, and don't you keep us second guessing, yeah. Guess being black is a curse and a blessing. We're only human after all. But you're still killing, we rise and fall. And still we get no justice we've been fighting for. It's like no one listens till there is another cause. Yeah, we're only human after all.
Joan Ogungbe's Pilgrimage is one of our featured recordings. You listen to Letting Go of My Baggage.
It was freezing cold in the night time when I boarded the plane to be here. I tried to sleep in the economy seat, knowing more discomfort was near.
Adu's None the Wiser was the second featured recording. Indeed, we dedicated the whole program to Adu because his father passed away earlier this year. His album is full of different influences, rock, blues, and an eclectic mix of music. A very accomplished but underrated artist. Adu, rest in peace.
Shines on me at the same mirror, at the same mirror.
Okay, one more time. Everybody, get your vibrations. Forget your friend. Let's jump around and do music for Gong Gong.
Thanks to our guests including Del Richardson, the original Osibisa guitarist and singer, now the Digital Interface Band. Clem Bushy, who released Adu's album on his Bushranger label. Mark Professor talked about remixing Massive Attack's No Protection. Dennis Bobo talked about his jazzy Manhunter on the Babylon soundtrack and his dubby Roll 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 track. Endo McCoy talked about Family, the record by his family group called McCoy.